faces dropped on a cold morning in Atlanta, Georgia, November 1. It's kind of a Friday flashback kind of day. These Fridays will be a little weird, especially after next week. Next week, I mean, we do have an MLS Cup to talk about. We will have USL Championship playoffs to continue to talk about as well, but there will definitely be some different themes to the Friday shows going forward with no more games locally to talk about for Atlanta United. We do still have some things to talk about from Wednesday night. We'll get into those here early. Gwen's still fired up about it. She's been very animated about the match, yelling about referees, yelling about stepping out to block shots. Gwen's still riled up, so I'm sure there's still some folks out there who are riled up as well. We'll get into that. Off the top, though, it is National Jersey Day, and I saw this making the rounds, started to last night, and I'm like, what in the world is National Jersey Day? I'm like, that can't even be a real thing. But it is. If you go look at, like checkthisday.com and stuff like that, it's a day where fans wear their favorite jerseys. It was started actually by the National Football League's Players Association to bring fans together and to build a sense of community. It's the first Friday in November. So that would qualify. Today is the first Friday in November, and we're going to steal it. So the question on the floor is your favorite current jersey in the world of soccer and your favorite all-time jersey in the world of soccer. So tweet at us at Soccer Down here with those. And pictures are encouraged. We
Yes.
see it, especially if they are strange ones or weird ones that I'm like, wait, what? What jersey are you talking about? So please tweet at us your favorite current and your favorite all-time jersey in the world of soccer. We're going to steal the NFLPA's theme here because, that's what we do. All right. Let's get back to Wednesday. Let's keep talking about it. There's still probably a few things on the table. We've had a couple updates to things that we talked about yesterday. So what do we have on the Twitter timeline? Still deconstructing Wednesday night's loss.
Gus Griffin at Touch and Tank on Twitter. He says Atlanta put forth a much stronger effort and was beat by a singular moment of greatness coupled with missed opportunities on the other end. LAFC, on the other hand, got roundly defeated.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you compare NYC and LAFC to Atlanta's performance, they're very different games. They played out very differently. I would even say two moments of brilliance because both goals are pretty brilliant. Atlanta played well, just not well enough. And that sometimes is all it takes in these moments when you're not scoring goals, especially against a team that you are controlling. When the goals aren't coming, then you're going to have some issues, and you've got to be perfect defensively, and they weren't. I look back at there's a great resource that I think now they have a partnership with the United Soccer Coaches, the former NSCAA, called The Coach's Voice. They're on Twitter at Coach's Voice. They do great videos with coaches breaking down either like tactical plans and classic matches. There's a great one with Jose Mourinho talking about how he prepared Inter Milan to beat Barcelona in the Champions League. But it's kind of funny this morning it popped up with a little short interview with Julian Lopetegui, who was at Real Madrid for a short period of time, and it didn't last the full season, and he was let go. But he said, at Real Madrid, I think we had a very good start. In fact, we had played some outstanding matches. But during games in which we were clearly superior to our opponents, we missed a lot of chances. Every team faces situations like this at one time or another. Usually during an entire season, the work you do balances out these sorts of scenarios. And it does. Generally, good teams are going to find those goals and win those games against teams that are inferior. In a one-game situation, it doesn't. And that's the playoffs, and that's what's so hard about it, because you have games. Every team has them. Any team in the world has had that game where, man, 19 shots, and you cannot find the back of the net more than once. And then the other team, 4 shots, and they find the back of the net twice. It happens to everybody, but that's the cruelty of the playoff structure, is that when it happens then, good teams can lose.
And if you haven't seen the XG plot for the match itself, I don't know if anybody really should want to, considering it's pretty one-sided.
I mean,
it's
what
one-sided.
You expected. It's exactly what you expected. The two goals that Toronto scored were both extremely low percentage goals. I think they finished at a .1. And the chances Atlanta had, they had a lot of really good ones, and their XG was 2.3. So that's the kind of game it was. You know, you lose a game like that, there's not a whole lot you can do. You get really frustrated because you had so many good chances. The other team really didn't have any good chances, and somehow they come out on top.
And let's see, Dogfan19881 says, even with all the clean sheets this year, LGP and Escobar have been reckless at times, and it cost us points. Can't remember how many times we conceded bad goals and tied games.
Escobar had more downs this season than I expected. LGP was more inconsistent this year, but he was still very good. I think it's something that it's easy to do when we break stuff like this down. The bad moments stand out more than the great moments, especially for defenders. It's probably much more harsher on defenders in that way, because a lot of things that they do, it's not easy to pick out. It's not a big highlight reel play. You remember Joseph. You remember Pitti nutmegging people. You remember Ezequiel Barco dribbling past people. Those moments are obvious. But a great defensive play by Gonzalez Perez, by an Escobar, it doesn't stand out as much. So they kind of get lost in the shuffle. When you look at who scored and the ratings that they give, and again, if who scored takes all the stats from Opta, they have a formula. They create a 1 to 10 rating for every game, and they do it over the course of a season. Pretty good way, especially over the course of a season, to track effectiveness and quality and those sorts of things. Individual games, there's some that I disagree with, there's some that I agree with, because it's all statistical. It's not taking any kind of opinion into it. Leandro Gonzalez Perez was 6th overall in the team in who scored rating, and Escobar was 9. So when you look at that, it was Joseph Martinez number 1, Ezequiel Barco number 2, Julian Gressel number 3, Pitti Martinez number 4, which I think would probably surprise quite a few people, Miles Robinson number 5, LGP 6, Darlington Nagbe 7, Justin Merrim 8, and Franco Escobar 9. So that's just an idea of how you take some of the opinion out. You look at the stats. I think in previous years, LGP has been higher, and Escobar last year was probably higher than that. It happens sometimes. I don't think it cost them first place in the East. I don't think it cost them the Supporter Shield, for example. I think both of those were probably a step beyond this year with everything going on. But they did have moments that it was... The good thing is in the postseason, they really didn't. The 2 goals that they conceded to Toronto on Wednesday weren't individual breakdowns. LGP had a few of those this season. Escobar had a few of those this season. It was more team structure with not enough pressure to the ball, a little bit of disorganization.
Let's see. Who else is up? Michael Valverde. And Michael's been very busy the last couple of days. And he actually wanted to go and wondered if double jeopardy actually was a thing and where it was in the rules, and you pointed it out to him. So I guess circle back on the double jeopardy discussion.
Yeah, I'm going back to when this was changed. It was changed ahead of the 2016-17 European season when IFAB made some changes to the game. And some people call it double jeopardy. Some people call it triple punishment. I mean, it's kind of been called lots of different things. The idea was that when a denying of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity foul occurred in the penalty area, it was too harsh of a punishment because that would be the penalty, that would be the red card, and then that's the suspension afterwards. They felt like it's too much, it's too harsh for a dog-so situation in the penalty area, so they changed it to where players who committed accidental fouls that denied an obvious goal-scoring opportunity were not automatically sent off. They were given a yellow card instead. So accidental did not include holding, pulling, pushing, anything not playing the ball, a handball, obviously serious foul play, violent conduct, because those would be red cards anywhere. So those are still red cards and penalty and suspension. And you think back to the Leandro Gonzalez Pires handball in Chicago. It was a handball, so it had to be all of the above. The decision, according to the referees, and also Pro did give an explanation of this, thanks to Doug Robertson of the HAC, was that it was an accidental foul because there was an attempt to play the ball. So Howard Webb said this about the Michael Bradley foul committed on Pity Martinez that led to the penalty. The laws of the game state that where a player commits an offense against an opponent within their own penalty area, which denies an opponent an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and the referee awards a penalty kick, the offender is cautioned if the offense was an attempt to play the ball. And then Webb went on to say, it should be made clear that Alan Kelly penalized Bradley for a lower body leg-to-leg foul contact on Martinez and not for holding. The left leg of Bradley made contact with the right leg of Martinez, which in turn caused Martinez's leg to swing out and him to lose balance. The ball at the time was close by, just ahead of Martinez, and Bradley's foot was moving in the direction of the ball, which is true. There is a still shot in Doug's AJC article where you can see Bradley's left knee, and it appears it is connecting with the back of Pitty's right knee. It's from an angle that you can't definitely see that they're making contact, but if that is what Alan Kelly ruled, if that's what he saw, along with being checked, because the VAR thoroughly checked the footage, according to Webb, confirmed the lower body contact, also forming the opinion that the on-field yellow card decision in this situation was not a clear and obvious error, and therefore reported check complete to the referee. So the way Webb worded that is very important here, and this is something to keep in mind when you start talking about VAR and replays and checks and on-field reviews and such. Webb didn't say that the VAR looked at it and said, yes, I agree with you. I agree with what you saw, Alan Kelly. I saw the same thing. What Howard Webb said is that the VAR formed the opinion that the yellow card decision in the situation was not a clear and obvious error. So I'm assuming that would also include that the VAR formed the opinion that the contact, and that being the contact that committed the foul, is not a clear and obvious error. That's the important part, because the VAR is not there to say, well, he didn't touch him. Well, he did this. The VAR is there to say, was there a clear and obvious error in the situation? Okay, there was. Yes, please, on-field review. Or no, there's not. There's no clear and obvious error. Okay, it's all good. Check complete. The wording is really important. So good on Doug for getting this explanation. I did not see the lower body contact until you see the picture. I did not notice it. The upper body contact was really light. If this is the way it went down, I mean, and there's no reason to think that it isn't, then yeah, it's completely by the book. It's completely and utterly by the book.
Tafka is in this morning, or yesterday after the show, and he says, I get the feeling we're about to enter a youth movement phase for Atlanta United. more than we have thus far, with Robinson, Bello, Heineman, Carlton, Campbell, and others poised for big increases in minutes.
I don't know where the feeling's coming from, but I mean, it's possible. I don't think there's anything that has been said to say we're going to play all young guys. I think you're going to play the best guys. And if they're young, it doesn't matter. And George Bello's in that example. George Bello is going to be a top left back in this league, I think. He's still got to put in the work. He's still got to improve. All those things still have to happen. But at his age, at where he is right now, I think he can be a top left back, left wing back in this league. Doesn't matter what age he is. That's the important thing. I think we saw that with the twos as well this season. George Campbell came in as a academy center back, not under a pro contract, and kept getting the minutes. Became a stalwart with that group because his play was good, and that earned him a contract eventually. Will Riley towards the end. I mean, I think a lot of people saw the pedigree of Will Vent coming into the academy and saw his early performances, which were pretty good. That, Will Vent's going to be the guy, and he's going to get a homegrown deal, and there's no questions about it. Will Riley's a year younger, and Will Riley started getting those minutes instead. And Will Riley ended up taking up all those minutes the rest of the season, and Will Vent moved on to Colorado. So it's not about age necessarily either way. It's not about like FC Dallas, who is going to play young guys because they're not going to spend the same way. I think for Atlanta, they're going to spend. They're going to bring in talent, mostly on the younger side, but they're going to bring in talent. But they're going to play the best players. I think you could see that through the postseason with Pity Martinez sitting out against New England, with other lineup rotations, other changes. It's going to be about the guys who are best suited to win that game and the guys who are in the best form. It's not going to be about a youth movement or anything like that specifically. And it's an important distinction. I'm not trying to argue semantics. There are some clubs, and Dallas is a prime example, that has a defined youth movement because that's who they're developing. They're going to play these guys. They're not going to go bring in other guys to potentially take that time. Atlanta is going to develop guys. They want to play those guys. They're going to give those guys minutes with Atlanta United too, but they've got to earn the first team minutes because there it's about trophies. And you don't win trophies with a dedicated youth movement. You win trophies with the best squad. And if that's a young squad, it's a young squad. And a bunch of the guys that Tafka mentioned will definitely be playing because they're the best options.
Nando Signs says, it ended up being a good season. Hope none of the BS around the city that alleges that Atlanta sports teams are cursed creeps into the club, especially after the rough defeat.
No curse. It wasn't that rough of a defeat either. I mean, maybe that's the difference in soccer and other sports. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a comparison to a game like the one Atlanta United lost on Wednesday, where you play really well, you just get beat by a better opponent, even if a better opponent on the day, because Atlanta was the favorite. They were the better team coming in, but Toronto was a little bit better on the day and better in the key moments in the match. Maybe that's a unique thing to soccer where you get those elements and it's a little bit more of a tip your cap type of situation to that team as opposed to everything's cursed. We're all broken. Ah. You're not. It's silly, and it has nothing to do with Atlanta United. So, no, there's nothing to worry about with curses or anything like that. You just didn't score enough goals, which happens to every team in the world. You just only had 90 minutes to try to change it, and you couldn't.
Michael Cinco has some homework for us. Says he wants to have us do a season recap player by player with season stats and thoughts on their future. Hashtag do all 30.
Okay. We can do that. That might be a good one for probably early next week because of that timeline with how things will go. The following week is where you'll start to have trade window open. You'll have the expansion draft lists coming out. The expansion draft will be on the 19th, but I think the lists come out the 16th. So, yeah, we'll do that early next week, maybe on Tuesday. That's a good idea. I like it. Write that down.
Do all 30 next week.
Notice I didn't say, like, put it in your calendar on your phone, because I'm not sure if you're capable of that.
No, so I wrote it down on my day sheet.
That's what I thought. Good stuff.
Daniel Price. He says, I think I finally come to the final stage of grief. I am now at acceptance. All the stages were rough, but I'm now looking forward to the next stage. Really looking forward to hanging out with y'all in Alpharetta and discussing the season and what's to come.
Yeah. It's, it happens. I get it. Like, I was kind of just, I think, in a fog because I was really tired as well yesterday, but just kind of meh the whole day. It's, we all put a lot into this, and we all, like, have a very strong feeling about it. And when you don't know the end is coming, and then it pops up and hits you in the face, it kind of sucks. So
yeah, you get your well damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, if you're not going to make the playoffs, the last game of the regular season, that's it. All right, you're done, and you can prepare for it. This you can't prepare for. So, and I'm not one who looks ahead like too much anyway. I will wait till the result happens. I mean, of course, I'll know when the game would be, and I'll make sure that it's free. But I'm not going to get into any details or preparation or anything like that too far ahead. I don't like to jinx anything. I don't like to do that. I like to stay in the moment. But, you do that, and then still, like, it's like, okay, I'm in limbo. Are we going to have a game on the 10th? And before Tuesday night, it was, am I going to Los Angeles ahead of that? When are we going to travel? What are we doing? All right, let me make sure I've got this. Okay. And you don't want to get too sidetracked and think about it, because you can't miss the job in front of you, which, I mean, for me is to call the game and prepare for the game with Toronto. For the guys, it's to get the job done. Like, it's almost cruel the way the season ends in this way, because you're not prepared for it, and it's very sudden.
Shiva's with Daniel. She says, we've had a lot of highs in our short existence. Everything was perfect, too good to be true, and then suddenly we saw someone else lift a trophy in our house. That's a hard pill to swallow, but Seattle used it as motivation to beat LAFC, and we can do the same next year. Believe everything happens for a reason, even in a heartbreaking loss.
Well, see, I'll push back on that and say that this year definitely wasn't perfect. I think that's a good thing for the club as a whole. I think it's a harder situation to be where LAFC is right now, where for the most part things have been pretty perfect. They haven't had a lot of hard times. I mean, this season had challenge in it. The start of it, the middle of it, different things that popped up in the media, whether it was domestic or international. You had a lot of distractions. You had a lot of just matches. You had a lot of injuries. You had a lot of stuff that made it difficult. So in the long run, I do think that benefits you. I really do. I think this is a team that's a little bit tougher mentally because of going through a lot of that. And I think it's a club as an entity that's a little bit tougher to be able to handle these things. LAFC is one that I've questioned it because they haven't went through a lot of adversity. Are they going to be able to handle those hard moments? They didn't look like they could against Seattle. And it's something that they're going to have to figure out, because you see it sometimes with a group, with an era of a team that they're really good, but they're not good enough to get over that hump. They're not good enough to become elite because they lack that mental toughness or whatever the stumbling block is for them. And you look at it on paper and they should be a champion, and you look at the results and they never get there. And sometimes it's hard to put your finger on why. I don't think that's the case with this group. Last year did feel not perfect because you did have stumbling blocks in last season as well. But this season had so many of them. And the fact that you got to where you did is a greater accomplishment because of those challenges. I think it'll serve the club well in the long run. You learn a lot from those. I think you learn a lot more from challenges than from success. So, 2017 losing in the knockout round in the first round, I think spurred 2018 to occur. 2019, you had a lot of success. You did lift trophies, but also you didn't get past the quarterfinal in CONCACAF Champions League. You want to get further there. And you came up short at the end, and you want to examine why, and you want to be prepared to deal with that. So I think it can lead to even more success in 2020.
Let's see. Yep, and Chris Hutchison has started the jersey discussion.
Okay, let's get one of those, and we'll take a quick break and come back and fire into it.
Okay, Chris Hutchison says, my favorite would be an Atlanta United jersey with 2 stars on
it. That doesn't exist yet. It's coming, hopefully, soon enough. Not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet.
All right.
Sean Vergara has other stuff that's not jersey related.
Okay, we'll hold that. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and get into other stuff. There's some MLS news and rumors to dig into, along with another name that's been associated with Inter Miami, a name that you probably know. A little bit surprising name, but we'll see how this one goes. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about your favorite current jerseys and your favorite historic jerseys on hashtag National Jersey Day. We'll get into all of that on the other side of the break.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect for officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here, November 1st edition. It's National Jersey Day, according to the NFL Players Association. So we're going to steal their fake holiday, and we're going to repurpose it for our world here on SDH. And you are going to tweet at us, and you are going to tell us your favorite current jersey in the world of soccer and your favorite historic, your favorite throwback jersey in the world of soccer. I know we've had a couple brought to the floor so far. Let's go ahead and get into those.
Okay. Ricky Ricardo's favorite jersey currently has to be Roma's away kit with the lightning bolt.
That's pretty good. That's a really nice kit. The lightning bolt's a cool touch.
Would love to have Atlanta United do a kit like this. And Ricky Ricardo's favorite all-time is Nigeria's 2018 World Cup kit. Sold like hotcakes, but I got one.
I liked it. I I wouldn't put it as my best ever. It was one of the best of the 2018 for sure, but I don't know. I liked some of Nigeria's 94 World Cup kits even more. I liked their white and green one from 94 more than the 2018 one.
Well,
the white
yeah.
and green one from 94 was awesome. So
Yeah,
I'll lean to that one for Nigeria.
Yeah, and I was with Ricky when it came to Nigeria for the 2018 current. For me, that was my current choice, along with the Reggae Girls kit from the Women's World Cup, the black.
Yep.
Those were my two currents, and my retro fave, and that's just because I'm a child of a certain age group. The 94 U.S. denim kit.
Oh. No. Not my favorite, it's an iconic kit. I'll give it that. But it's hideous. It's hideous.
And I forgot to mention another current favorite of mine, and it's probably some partialities involved here. The Atlanta United 2 all white with the stripe. That one I like. The white. Yeah, the full white with the red and black stripe down the side with the crest over the heart.
Last year's.
Yeah.
Because this year they wore the peach.
So, yeah, last year's all white for Atlanta United too.
Okay.
So I guess that goes into the retro pile.
That would be retro, yes, because they wore it just for one season.
Well, there you go.
Not this past one. So there you go.
All right.
Yeah, the 94 kit, I like it in the sense that it's ridiculous, but I would not put it as a best. It's
At least they didn't do the wavy stripe one. Instead
I like
of
the wavy one better than the denim one. I always like the wavy one better than the denim one. Easily. But the best U.S. look for me is the sash. I don't even think it's close. They did a bunch of different variations of it because it was originally from the 1950 World Cup, and they did some retro stuff before they did it for the 2010 World Cup as part of just the basic kit. The navy one with the white sash is my favorite.
I dig that.
The red one with the navy sash is pretty good.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different variations of it that are pretty cool, but that was the kit that I liked the best and a look I would have liked to have seen continue. And that's my biggest criticism of the branding / marketing for U.S. soccer is have a look and stick with it.
Yeah, really.
It's way too all over the place in terms of the kits. I mean, the women having the one with like a Volt green, no, stop. That's stupid. It's stupid they won a World Cup and kits with Volt green on them for the U.S. That's idiotic. But pick something that defines it. You know, I think most national teams have, the classic ones anyway, have some defining feature in their primary kit. You know, the blue and white stripes of Argentina, the blue of Italy, not green. The blue of Italy.
No green of Italy, please.
I thought you liked the green.
No. I thought the green for Italy was sacrilegious.
Okay. White for England, classic. White for Germany, classic. The yellow from Brazil, classic. There's nothing for the U.S. Like, I don't know. If somebody said, what is the U.S. kit supposed to look like? I don't know. There's nothing that is consistent. There's never been, are they consistently wearing white? Are they consistently wearing, they can't even pick a color, let alone like a design style. So, I don't know. Peru with their red sash, that's iconic. Like, something. Please, make it easier.
Okay. Stumbled across something that Stars and Stripes FC put out, and they gave their top 10s for the U.S. kits in its history.
Okay.
And their top 3, we'll just go top 3. Their third one is the 2017 Gold Cup third jersey.
'17 Gold Cup third. Which one was that?
Red and blue stripes, across, going from left to right, and it had stars as epaulets on the shoulders.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I thought it might be too much at first when I saw that one. I think the pictures come out of it, but it worked pretty well.
They're number 2, and I do like this one. The 2006 third jersey, the Don't Tread on Me.
Yes.
The red base with the white and blue sash with the 1950, I guess, USA crest with the number underneath.
Yeah, that was one of the throwbacks they did with the sash that then eventually they just did the sash for 2010.
And then their top one is the Waldo, the 2012 home kit.
I wouldn't put it there.
No, I'm not a fan. It's but it's not. I mean, I would go with the Don't Tread on Me. Their number 4 is the sash from 2010.
This is the problem. Like, you've got a couple sashes, you've got a couple hoops.
Yeah.
Like, just pick something. Pick something that defines what the jersey's supposed to be, and then you can play in that space. I mean, Atlanta United, they're going to have stripes.
Mm-hmm.
The home kit is going to have stripes. We know that. Okay, you see red and black stripes? However many you want to count there, go ahead. But you see red and black stripes? That's what Atlanta is going to look like. Is the U.S. going to have red and navy hoops? Is it going to have red and white hoops? Is it going to have like royal blue? Is it going to have navy blue? Is it going to have the sash? Is it going to have wavy vertical stripes? Is it going to have faux denim? I mean, is it just going to be plain white, like the Centennial kits that I thought were really
That was their
nice?
number 5. That was their 5.
Look. That very England like type of look, but it was a great look. It looked very good, very clean, but no consistency. And you get the white with red and blue kind of sort of stuff all over the front, whatever. I mean, you've got to pick. Like, you've got to be, in my opinion, either have a one defining classic look and you can play with the secondary kit, but have one defining look that you can alter and update and adjust, but there's something consistent about it, or just be Oregon and be insane.
Ugh.
Like, you can't be. Why are you going to go? Ugh.
I get a headache with Oregon.
Okay. Are they selling a bunch of jerseys?
Oh yeah, I know it's all about marketing and target demos, and that's what attracts kids to go play college football these days.
So it's doing its job.
Chrome and. Yeah, it's doing its job. It gives me a headache, but yeah, I know it's absolutely doing its job.
I don't
think they do.
About you.
No, I don't think they give a royal rat about me. They're about
I hope they
marketing,
don't.
marketing, selling jerseys, making sure that they make absolute money hand over fist and can bring in athletes with all the different uniform versions that they are. So no, I completely understand it. I get it. Kids are attracted to chrome these days and alternate jerseys and alternate uniforms and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I'm a fuddy-duddy. Drives me crazy.
Okay. I don't know why you get so bent out of shape about it, but you got to be one or the other. You can't do what the U.S. has done typically and just be all over the place with design elements and stuff. Like, Oregon gets wild with colors and shades and things, and you're expecting wild. Do that then. If Nike wants to do that stuff, do that stuff. Don't go hoops and then go sash and then find stripes and then do different kind of stripes and then whatever else and then do something that looks like throwback and clean. Like, just find some freaking consistency of something, please. That's all I want out of the United States jersey side. There's plenty of other things I'd like to talk about with U.S. soccer, but we're not going to do that today.
Yeah, their top 10 was the 1950 home kit. The Bomb Pop was at 9. The 2007 third kit, the Copa. Blue base, white stripes, north-south. Number in the center.
That was the lighter blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I enjoyed that. And if you wanted to do something that is classic yet somewhat unique in the soccer world, you don't normally see like pinstripes. that could be something you could go with on a consistent basis.
And then it was the 94, the red sash kit from 2011, the Centennial, the dark blue jersey with the white sash was their 4, Gold Cup 3, Don't Tread on Me, and the Waldo. That was their top 10.
I'm surprised the Waldo's number 1. A lot of people hated the Waldo when it first came out.
It's just I'm not a fan. And knowing me, if I was to get something like that, I'd probably spill something on it and then I'd render it useless.
You have a very strange set of criteria for jerseys you like. Something I can spill something on and it'll be okay. I like that.
Yeah, if I can, and because you know that the second that you wear something white, you're going to spill something on it and you're going to have to launder it and it's going to screw it up. At least me, anyway.
You might spill it on the red stripe, John, and then you might.
But it's easier to hide if you can't get it out through the laundry.
That's what I'm saying. Your spill might end up on the red stripe where it's easier to hide.
Soccer Metrics, our friend Howard, has chimed in this morning. He says he'll have to get back to us on current jerseys, but I don't see how any throwback jersey can top Mexico's 98 World Cup kit with the Aztec calendar on the front.
That's an epic kit. The alternate white one with like the gray sublimated Aztec imagery behind it, I didn't like as much. The green one where it's more sublimated behind it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's an epic jersey. I love it.
And right now, if you're interested in shopping for it, you can't get it anywhere for less than $130.
That's why you go get a recreation of it at other places.
But yeah, I've got the white one up and the green one up. I really like the green one.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Well, yeah, it's epic. I mean, it was a big time kit.
Shiva's really she says, not a jersey, but my absolute favorite since they don't make it in a woman's style and she'll have to stick to men's styles for now. And since she's more of a color person on jerseys, she has to pick the Dutch beautiful orange color national team jersey, but she also has a picture of the Atlanta United black training kit.
So the Dutch are another one. They've played with the shades of orange over the years. They've had some of the more like darker in-your-face orange. They've had some of the lighter orange. For the Dutch, if you're looking for a classic, they've had a lot of jerseys where there's not a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's simple, like with a different collar or whatever. Orange jersey with a white collar, orange and black. They did for a little while on the jersey itself. I liked the 1988 European Championships Dutch jerseys. It was a design style that Adidas used for a few teams, but the one in orange looked the best with the Dutch. And maybe some of it, and this is probably true with a lot of these, the throwbacks that you remember and love are because you remember that team and you remember that specific era of the players who wore that. And I mean, in this one, you're talking about Rijkaard and Hullet and Marco van Basten and just an amazing team in 1988 that won the European Championship. I love that orange jersey. That's my favorite of theirs.
Daniel Price is a little biased by his own admission. His favorite kit is the 2018 Robin Egg Blue Atlanta United Parley kit, and his favorite OG classic is the 2017 inaugural season kit.
We got to get Daniel back into some deeper classics. I'm trying to think of other Atlanta soccer jerseys that stand out. The early Chiefs jerseys are kind of funny looking back at now because, I mean, essentially they were football jerseys made by Champion. I think the first couple of years, just not cut to have shoulder pads in them. And you had like larger numbers on the front, which was very different at the time.
Right.
They evolved a little bit. In 71, they did white sleeves on a red shirt, so it had an Arsenal kind of look. But they were pretty basic, all red at home, all white on the road. I think the 71s, they alternated, did white shorts with the red jerseys. I think I might be wrong in that. The Apollos did the bar across the front, red jersey with white bar across the front. Kind of like, there's a few teams that have done that. It's a pretty standard jersey style. Their alternate was white with a red bar. So nothing crazy. The second version of the Chiefs had some
like
really
the 80-81.
Well, the 79 to 81, they were all basically the same. They had some cool design styles. They incorporated blue into it, which hadn't been part of the original version of the Chiefs at all. And I'm scrolling down, they had a lot of different manufacturers of them. They had Admiral do some, they had Adidas do some, and there were some variations between them. If you go to a site called NASLjerseys.com, you can scroll through and see pictures, and you can see actual jerseys that people have taken pictures of now or given to people who organize the site, and see some of the different variations in those Chiefs jerseys. But you had a white with red and blue across the front in bars, and you had red and blue and white sleeves, kind of like candy cane style or hoop style, which was pretty interesting. The road jersey, the blue with the red and white with the sleeves and the stripe style, was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that one.
I think I like the blue one the best of those.
Yeah.
So those were really interesting and fairly iconic. I mean, for a team that lasted 3 seasons outdoors, like fairly iconic. After that, you had the Atlanta Attack, who didn't really do anything too crazy or too, like nothing that really jumped out at you in terms of the jersey. The Ruckus were blue and white, pretty basic jerseys, nothing too crazy.
I like the Generals kits.
The Generals kits were weird. They incorporated yellow into it, but they were going with like a whole idea of Star-Spangled Soccer. That was their catchphrase, which is terrible, but whatever. They were in the American Soccer League. That's the only reason why the Star-Spangled Soccer plays into it. But the yellow coming into it was a little odd. I don't know. Maybe they got a deal on that jersey. Who knows? The Ruckus time was pretty basic. The Silverbacks never really had an identifiable style either. I mean, it would be hoops, it would be red, it would be red with black, it would be red with white, it would just be all over the place. So they kind of had the same issue with the U.S. as it wasn't any standard style. I liked the red and black hoops years. I want to say it was 2013 with the Silverbacks. That's probably my favorite one of theirs. So, out of the Atlanta kits pre-Atlanta United, I think I'm going to go with the 79 to 81 blue Chiefs as my favorite.
Yep. Tafka says, let's be real. Of all the things the U.S. Soccer Federation needs to do better, kits is like last on the list. And new and different kits means...
the easiest ones, though.
And new and different kits means more money. So don't count on it, especially since the level of play and inner workings of our soccer fed aren't inspiring pride.
See, but this is the problem. This is where you mess up the little things. Last time I checked, the difference between the 2017-18 Atlanta United home kit, primary kit, and the 2019 primary kit is fairly minor. I think people still bought the updated one too. So you don't have to do dramatic different styles to sell them. One, you have to have a good team wearing them. The people want to buy it. Because that's the big thing here. I mean, we can get completely off the rails with it. But it doesn't have to be a wild redesign every time. And you can have fun with the secondary kit. I think a primary look needs to be a primary look, and the U.S. doesn't have one. And that's something that they really need to do here at some point. They need to make a decision and stick with it. You can still update it. You can still tweak it. You can still do things to it, especially in a World Cup year, because people are going to buy the new World Cup. They're going to buy the kit that went through qualifying. If there was something about the qualifying campaign that went out, they're going to buy the Gold Cup or Copa America kit. Like, people are going to buy them when they're updated and they're slightly changed. But have some kind of identifiable look, please.
Michael Head, I love you on a Friday. He agrees with me. Boo on the Oregon unis and stay off my lawn.
No. Let me make this clear. I don't care. Some of them are good. Some of them are hideous. Some of them are awful. Some of them are cool and unique. It's not what I would love for my team, but Oregon was one that I don't know their history that well, but nobody was talking about Oregon football until they started doing those.
Yeah, until Phil Knight was a major benefactor and the Nike contract came in. They're like, eh.
Well, they had Nike before. I mean, let's get it right on that, because I mean, Nike's based there, so they've had Nike. But when Nike said, "Can we go crazy? can we get nuts here?" Yeah, you can get nuts. Nobody cares about us anyway. Now people care, so it served a purpose. I don't like it with a classic brand, but if you're not a classic brand, well, do what you want. But then you have a different type of pressure, in my opinion. And we've seen it from at time to times with Oregon, where it feels like they go too far outside the box, they get too crazy, and then nobody likes it, and then you don't have anything to fall back to. That's the beauty of the soccer world with jerseys, in that you have a primary and a secondary, and your primary is your standard look, and the secondary you can get silly with. And you can change it. You can have a theme for a couple of years. I mean, I think Atlanta's done a good job with it so far. The first secondary kit, I think they kind of had to take something that they could jump on quickly, and the concrete and strawberry pie. Or cherry pie. I think you're the only one who calls it cherry pie, actually.
Yeah.
I think most people go strawberry. That was a 1 year. I think you just had to take something. But then they do the King Peach for 2 years. And we had people tweet at us, like, they're going to miss the King Peach. Okay, you're going to see something different next time. You have a new theme around it. Cool. But you always have that primary look to come back to. And that's really, really important. And I think Oregon, I eventually, I would hope, gets to that, where you have both. I don't think other sports necessarily think that way, in that they basically the road jersey, the road uniform is the same as the home, just a different color combo, instead of doing a different design style. I think soccer, it's completely accepted that the secondary or even the third, when you do that gets even crazier, that it's not the same design style always. And that's a good thing. I think that gives you the best of both worlds.
Ricky Ricardo, and I'm staring at this and I'm going, okay. He says, can we get some reactions to this kit leak for Manchester United? And it's a picture of the Dragon Adidas Chinese New Year kit that they're apparently releasing.
I have not seen that at all.
Footy headlines.
Okay, now I'm seeing it. Oh, my goodness. Okay. It looks like a training kit. I mean, cool, I guess. I wouldn't buy it or wear it. It looked kind of weird to match, but
yeah,
okay. If it's a one-off type of thing, which it's not going to be worn in an official match. Okay, then fine. Yeah, do whatever you want. It's just a fun kit. So that's a whole different thing. Like, have fun. Yeah, whatever. We're not wearing it in a match. Okay, cool. I don't care. It's all good. Get silly.
Yeah. Alex Krupp. His current is the China women's away kit. Color is simple and the pattern is incredible. And his classic is the Germany 1994 kit.
I had not seen the China women's away. That's an awesome kit. Yeah, it looks very simple and basic, but it's not. And those are the best, in my opinion, because there's flash to it, but it's not. It doesn't blind you. It doesn't distract. That's very cool. I had not seen that. I had not seen the elements of that one. That's very, very cool. I love that. Germany 94. Yeah, that's a good one. I think most people, when they go favorite German kits, they go to 90, the West German kits that won the World Cup. And part of it, I think, is they won the World Cup. But that black and red with the white main color of the jersey, the black and red kind of jagged pattern across the front, that's the Germany jersey that jumps into mind. That's the first one I think of. Maybe some of it because that's when I first really saw them a lot, but also it's just an iconic style that I think Adidas has tried to recreate a few times here and there.
And then to end hour number one, Swickster's favorite is the USM&T Centennial, and his second and third are a tie between the original Atlanta United 5-stripe kit and the 2012 secondary USM&T kit.
The 2012 secondary USM&T. Huh. I'm drawing a blank. Is that the blue with white sleeves with a sash, but it's like buried in the color, so it's like a darker shade of navy? I'll be curious to see if that's the one he's thinking of. And they did a white one with it's a very light gray sash across it. I think that was 2012. So I need clarification, Swickster. I didn't like the white one of that. The blue one I like more, but I like just a regular sash. I'd rather have the sash than the hint at a sash.
Looks like what? White sleeves, blue vest section with a darker blue sash and the striped collar.
All right, we're going to see what Mike Conti thinks on favorite jerseys, both current and all-time, right after this.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Okay.
I put out my campfire and Smokey Bear hugged me.
So you drowned the fire, you stirred it, drowned it again, and felt that it was cold?
Uh-huh.
Yep, he's just letting you know you did good.
Bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update.
I'm gonna let you go now. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service Ad Council and your state forester.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is what matters. This is beyond X's and O's. This is the difference mutual respect makes. This is what character looks like. This is what defines us in Georgia. This is sportsmanship. School sports. It's not the outcome that matters most, but the way the games are played. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, contact my friend Steve Apolinsky of Apolinsky & Associates. He's been representing individuals for over 30 years throughout Georgia and Alabama. Email him at steve@aa-legal.com or call him 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
You're listening to Soccer Down Here daily on SDH Networks, a division of OSG Sports. Find us at Soccer Down Here on Facebook and Twitter. The time is now the top of the hour. Peep, y'all.
Welcome back. Hour number 2. Soccer Down Here. November 1st. Winter has finally shown up. I think it decided to show up yesterday afternoon because I walked Gwen after the show, and it felt like it was around 65 degrees, maybe 70, and then I walked her at the end of the night, and it was 35 degrees.
Yeah, really?
It's gotten stupid. Mike, how has this new form of winter, has it kind of fit your mood? Because I felt kind of down yesterday, too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not the temperature. I think it was the cloud cover and the rain that probably fit my mood better yesterday. And today, I'm still not over it. I'm really not. This is going to go as, I think, one of the big missed opportunities in Atlanta sports history and certainly the history of the club. It's like what happened last year in U.S. Open Cup times 100. Where you had Chicago coming into the Benz, you feel pretty good about your chances to beat them. And then if you beat them, it's a USL opponent, and then you're in the semifinal all of a sudden for the U.S. Open Cup. And they blew it against Chicago. Different circumstances, obviously. I don't think Atlanta United blew it on Wednesday night. I think Toronto beat them. But it's a huge missed opportunity. It's a real bummer. They've had a great season, and I know in another day or two I'll probably be able to, sit back and take a deep breath and kind of savor. But I'm still stewing on it a little bit, to be honest with you. And I can only imagine how the players and the coaches and the technical staff feel, because this could have been their year. It could have very well have been a repeat because of the way things fell in front of you. And instead, it's going to be a 3.5 month or maybe longer off season.
And, Mike, obviously, one of the storylines that came to us far sooner than we would have liked is something that you and Jason got to talk about on the Full-Time Report, is that it's the end of the line for Cap, Michael Parkhurst. And when you see what he has meant to this club in a very short period of time, you hope that he's going to be around in some form or fashion, whether it's a tracksuit, a whistle, an ambassador, whatever. But he's going to be missed on a bunch of different levels.
Did a terrific job in the game on Wednesday or Thursday. Or was it Wednesday? I've lost track. Wednesday. Today's Friday, right?
Where I'm at right now.
Right. Runs together.
He did a terrific job in the game, too. And I don't know, what the pain management situation was for him and if he was fully 100% or if he was way less than that. But that was a very courageous, gutsy effort, a solid effort for him on Wednesday. And that's kind of the way I'm going to remember his 3 years with Atlanta United. Courageous, gutsy, and solid. And at the age of 34 last year, he was very nearly the MLS Defender of the Year and a best 11 caliber player. So he'll be missed. I think it goes beyond his play on the pitch. I think, obviously, the leadership qualities and the amount of respect that he earned from players like Joseph Martinez, who have spoken about it publicly, and his teammates that have not spoken about it publicly. He's Atlanta United's first ever captain. And it'll be very, very big shoes to fill for whoever assumes that armband next year and whoever's going to wear the number 3 in the future if that number is awarded again. He did a terrific job, and I'm going to miss him. And I'm not certain he's going to be lingering around. Atlanta is his home right now, but Atlanta is not permanently his home. Maybe there's a new adventure in the offing for Michael Parkhurst that we don't know about yet, but he'll be missed. He did a great job, and now this is one of it goes to one of the major offseason storylines where you're going to have an offseason of transition, and you're going to be moving on from some players, and Parkhurst is one of them. And the search to fill some of these holes, either from internal sources or external, will probably start not very long after next Sunday when the rosters are unfrozen.
Let's save the big picture look ahead to next year, but something you said kind of stuck with me as we've been talking about, favorite classic jerseys and stuff like that. One of the things that comes up through clubs that have a history is numbers and who wore them, because you don't see many retired. Now, I don't think we're going to get to that point here anytime soon, but you think back to who wore that jersey in your club, and there's certain numbers at certain clubs that people say the jersey's heavier. Like the number 10 at River Plate was one that it felt like it took Pity Martinez some time to get used to the expectations of wearing the number 10. And you could maybe say the same here, because that number 10 was associated with Miguel Almiron from the first 2 years. The number 3 will have an expectation. It will have that going forward. And that's just one of those things that when you build a heritage of a club, of a franchise, those numbers have meaning.
Totally agree. And you know, I look at collegiate football where, you know, you have 85 players on a roster, so it becomes difficult to retire numbers in collegiate football because you need to have pretty much all of them to fill out your team and not have duplicate numbers. But, you know, I look at my alma mater, Penn State. I mean, there are quarterbacks who ask for permission to wear number 14, Todd Blackledge's number. Mm-hmm. There are linebackers who ask for permission to wear number 11, LeVar Arrington's number. Paul Posluszny notoriously called Shane Conlon as a freshman and asked him for permission to wear number 31. So these numbers do mean things. They absolutely do. And you can respect the number without retiring it. Right. I know there are examples in MLS in particular of clubs that retire numbers, but you know, I think it's almost more of a tribute to Michael Parkhurst to not retire number 3 and award that number to someone who, you know, the club feels can adhere to the standard of play and the standard of leadership that Michael Parkhurst kind of established, almost as though it's a badge of honor to get the number 3 as opposed to a burden.
I like that even more.
And no, Mike, go ahead. You're on roll. Go for it.
I think that's what Michael Parkhurst would want, to be honest with you. I mean, knowing him, I don't think he'd be really comfortable with the idea of his number being retired. But if you want Parky's legacy to live on, I mean, we're talking about him like he's deceased. He's not going anywhere. But if you want his legacy to live on, then I think there's no better tribute than to award the number 3 to someone who's going to give you the same types of things that Parky gave you. I would really hope to see that. I don't know if they'll do it next year. That might be too soon. You know, it might be one of those years where it's not retired, but they just don't give a number 3 next year. But down the line, I think there's a standard that Michael Parkhurst set, and I would like to see the club pay homage to that.
Tafka with an update. He says that Parkey said on the BS podcast a month ago he's very likely going back to Ohio. Not a done deal, but that's where they're leaning, and it won't be until the school year ends, though.
Right.
When you look at this year for Atlanta United, Mike and Jason, this is probably a question, you know, that it can include you as well in the answer. But when it comes to a season that had as many ebbs and flows as it did, Mike, what was it like from your perspective in the booth to see all of this story unfold the way that it did? Because I know that for the 17s, it was the scream machine at points with, or pick your favorite roller coaster because of how things started early, and then you have an ebb, and then they get hot, and then you're screaming into the postseason. What was it like for the two of you to call this season the way that it fell out?
Well, I had a great time. And, you know, one thing that happened a lot this year that did not happen last year, which is extremely enjoyable to me as a play-by-play announcer in the booth, is it felt like this year you had so many late goals to win. Whereas last year, the way that so many of the matches played out, it was like Atlanta United with a 2-0 lead in the 80th minute, and they're just kind of seeing things out and holding on, and like the game up in Montreal where they gave up a late goal in the 86th, and now you're kind of holding on to see things out for 5 minutes. It felt like this year there were a lot of late goals to win, like Pitty's header against DC, the Heineman goal against San Jose. There were other matches that aren't coming to the front of my head right now. Barco's equalizer against Philadelphia, that was one to equalize, but still an example of what I'm talking about. The goal against New England in the playoff game was relatively late to win. We didn't really have that last year. I think the closest we came was Joseph against Portland the hand of God goal that he actually put off the side of the net, but from where we were sitting, it looked like it went in. So that's just one of those little fun things that we had this year that we didn't have last year. But I think in general, John, it's just, and I've probably said this a lot, and I'll continue to say this. This year was more gratifying to me than last because this team had to fight so much harder to get to where they got. All the injuries, the match compression, the crazy weather that they had to play in the first month or two of the season. And then there's a little bit of a stick it to the doubters kind of mindset that goes along with that as well, because I think a lot of people were just incredibly unfair to this team and to one of its newly acquired players and its new coach. I think people were completely unfair to them in March and April and the first part of May. And there's a quiet satisfaction that comes with shutting up the doubters. And this team did that. And it's not as though like I'm the spokesperson for the team or anything like that. But for someone who spends a lot of time with them and for someone who spends a lot of time working on this, there's kind of a quiet satisfaction that goes along with proving the doubters wrong. And Atlanta United certainly did that. But it was a fun season. I'm really, it's so weird it ended the way it did, because when you go to a final, at the end of the night, your season is over no matter what. And when you don't make the playoffs, when you play on decision day, that's it. You're going home and you're done no matter what. But when you get knocked out mid-playoff before going all the way, it's jarring because Bob Rathburn and I were talking about this last night at the Hawks game. It's like your engine is still on, but the gas has run out, and mentally it's like, shoot, it's almost like a relationship coming to an end. It can be really, really shocking and really tough to deal with. So mixed emotions when you ask me about what the season was like from the booth, but I think that to me this was more fun than 2018 for the reasons that I outlined. They had more moments this year. I know that sounds really weird, but it felt like they had more moments this year than they did last.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You did forget about San Jose last year, which for late minute.
Oh, right.
Made up for everything.
Oh, well, shoot. I mean, that game was on you-know-what. I mean, that was a completely... That one's in a totally different category. Maybe it's just that it happened more frequently this year. It felt like it happened more frequently.
It felt like it did. It also felt like it could more frequently. And I think, as you mentioned last year, it felt like you had a lot of games where it's a comfortable lead late, and there's not a lot of drama late. This year, there was a lot of drama, both on, off the field, all the way around it, all of that, which just gave you more, I think, to work with. And for me, from a soccer standpoint and a tactical standpoint, there was a lot more going on this year. There was a lot more to dig into with the system changing and evolving over the year, with the team having to figure things out with injuries and what the lineups could look like. We had so many more lineup discussions this year than we have ever seen with this team, because you had to, and you also had a new manager who was figuring all of that out on the fly as well to make it even more complicated. So there was definitely more going on this year, and from our perspective, it gave us more to work with.
It did, and I think the other difference between last year and this is we had some really, really great road trips. Not that we didn't last year, but going to Vancouver and Seattle and Portland, that Cascadia belt, those are just three awesome road trips, and I'm so pleased we got to do that. LAFC was a great stadium, and I'm really glad we got to go there. I enjoyed going to the Riot for the first time, so that's another little thing that sticks out is we had some terrific road trips that, I mean, with all due respect, on years where you play the Texas teams, it's just not the same. Houston's got a great park. Dallas is a miserable road trip, one of the worst in the league, but Houston's got a great park. It's still not the same as going to Portland or Seattle. So that's one little
Montreal too.
Difference.
Well, you
get Montreal every year. You get and we always make the most of that Montreal trip. That's a great one too. But it just, Every season's different, and this one felt a lot different than 2018 for a number of different reasons. And by the way, I don't think the chapter is necessarily fully written on 2019 yet. I think there will be some context to what happened on Thursday when we watch the MLS Cup final next Sunday. And I know this sounds like kind of a loser's mentality, but if Toronto goes in there and wins MLS Cup, I actually feel a little bit better about what happened Thursday night. That at least you got knocked out by the eventual champion.
Have you thought about your favorite jerseys there, Mike?
Yeah, I have. I have a controversial answer for current. Because, you could pick really any shirt in the world, and there are so many good ones. I'm going to go and stay within MLS, though. And I've said this before, and I think we've even had this discussion on SDH before. I love the Loons jerseys. I love them. I love their color scheme. I love that silver and baby blue. I think that just looks sharp as heck. It's clean. It's sleek. I just love their colors. I love the Loons kit. Their kit looks a lot better now when they're on their players as opposed to the day they revealed them. So I'm going to go with Loons. True. I know that's controversial. I know there's so much I could pick from. I just really like how clean and sleek and futuristic they look. I love those colors. All time is a nostalgia play for me. The red and white vertical striped U.S. men's national team kits from 1994. When they had really their first huge World Cup moment since 1950. When they got, they wore the stripes against Colombia, didn't they? I'm almost positive they wore the stripes against Colombia. I'm almost certain. Maybe not. Maybe they wore those. Actually, you know what? They didn't. They did the denim, but they wore the stripes against Brazil. And July 4th of 1996 was a really seminal moment for soccer in this country, even though the U.S. men's national team did not beat Brazil. They went toe-to-toe with them in a sold-out Stanford Stadium. Almost said Sanford. Stanford Stadium. And that was the day I'll remember as a 13-year-old kid where 4th of July barbecues and fireworks were stopped so we could watch a soccer match. And, I played soccer as a kid, and I was super pumped about the 94 World Cup to begin with. But that took it to a whole another level. And I loved those shirts. I loved them. I thought they were classic and kind of reminiscent of what the big clubs in Europe were wearing at that time and continue to wear, obviously. Love those. Love the red and white candy stripe U.S. men's national team kits. I always envisioned Tom Ramos getting elbowed in the eye wearing that. But I still to this day can perfectly visualize Alexi Lawless wearing that, and Tab Ramos and Kobe Jones and that whole crew. So it's a nostalgia play, but I thought those were the best U.S. men's national team kits ever. The Rocket Pop kits really grew on me in 2014. I initially hated them and then ended up really, really liking them. But to me, it's those red and white vertical stripes. I love those.
I'm going to take a different MLS kit that I like more than the Loons. The Vancouver kits this year, the white with the navy blue hoop. The throwbacks.
The throwbacks?
Yeah. I love those.
Yeah.
I loved those. I loved the little things they did with it. They had the old Whitecaps logo on the bottom. They had the maple leaf with the 79 championship year on a sleeve. The red numbers on it, the red names. I like that look with the navy blue collar. I like collars on kits. I know that's a controversial thing. Some people don't. I do. I kind of like that idea. So that's my favorite non-Atlanta MLS kit this year. I love that kit.
Yeah, me too. Paid. Really, the whole season was an homage year to the 1979 Whitecaps, but I thought they did a really brilliant job with those jerseys, and I think there are a lot of good kits around MLS. We're going to get a sleeve sponsor next year, and I just hope that MLS proceeds with caution and prices this out correctly, because what I don't want to see is MLS teams starting to look like Liga MX teams, where there's just a logo on every square inch of the kit. I don't want to see that at all. But
I don't think American sports is ready for that yet. I don't think they're ready for that. Argentina might be even worse. Defensa y Justicia, I tried to count. I think I got them all. I think there's 10 sponsors on the jersey and shorts.
Well, I hope they're monetizing that well, and it's not like a dollar a holler type deal, to use a radio industry term.
Yeah. There you go. Dollar a holler. I like that.
Yeah.
But no, for me, Mike, I went the other way. I liked the denim kit from that same year for the U.S. men's national. That was my favorite retro, and my favorite current was the Nigeria national team stuff that they put together.
Well, I love their colors. I think, that's obviously the color of their flag, but I think that shade of green with the white really pops. Kind of like the old New York Jets and Philadelphia Eagles color schemes of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, that Kelly green. I think that really pops too.
So what's your weekend looking like, Mike?
I'm on vacation. I'm going to be up in North Carolina later today. Obviously no no domestic soccer to watch this weekend. So no Penn State to watch, no Falcons, no Hawks. So I'm going to kind of unplug from sports for it. Yeah, it's going to be nice. I'm going to unplug from sports for a couple days. I just need a little break because when I get back, then I really go full bore. And I've been doing Hawks games, but I'll really be with them starting next week and traveling with them and all of that. So, just wanted to get a quick weekend away to kind of reset and reflect. And, it was a really, really good season. I know it's disappointing the way it ended. I was glad to see not too many people go into negative directions on social media after what happened on Thursday. I think that would do a disservice to the players of this team. Was Atlanta United the best team in the league this year? No, they weren't. Atlanta United's going to finish, as far as their playoff finish, right about where they were in the regular season, and they were right about third. And that's where this is going to end up. Now, we're in a playoff country and a playoff league, and what's disappointing is that you were going to have home games all the way through, and you didn't get it done. But I think it's kind of a just result in a way. You finished third. You were third in league play during the regular season. You don't have to give your trophies back. You still have the Open Cup. You still have the Campeones Cup. To me, again, and I said it on the full-time report, I think what I'm saddest about after all of this is that we don't get a Campeones Cup game next year. Because that was such a really special night at the Benz. And I really think that if there had been another one in 2020, you would have seen buzz and interest multiply from what we had this year, regardless of the opponent, because so many people spoke positively about that night in August, and the word of mouth would have gone a long way to really drum up the interest in a 2020 Campeones Cup at Mercedes-Benz Stadium again. I'm really bummed that we're not going to get that this year. But hopefully we get it in 2021. And it was nice in a way yesterday to see how the pots are going to work out for CONCACAF, and we can start to look ahead a little bit to potential CONCACAF matchups. That helps. That helps move things along a little bit. Of course, the way Atlanta United's luck has gone, I'm sure Leon is going to come out of that pot. And,
or Saprissa.
Can you imagine having to go to the Monsters Cave in February? Good Lord. It would be awesome to go back to Costa Rica. I mean, the people down there are wonderful, and we had a great time. But it's a little bit different going, and with all due respect to our friends at Ardiano, it's a lot different going into the Monsters Cave than it is going into the house of Don Cordero. So, yeah. Or you could be looking at a trip to El Salvador or Honduras or Guatemala. Maybe we'll get lucky for once, and Portmore United will come out. We'll all go to Jamaica, and we can all speak English and have a good time. But
that'd be great.
But no matter what, it's been a great season, and it's not like I'm going up to North Carolina to have a good cry. It's been a lot of fun, and it is really. I think we forget. I had to give myself a little pep talk. Like, it is just a game. It is just a game. Like that, it's sports. It's fun. No one got sick as a result of any of this, and no one lost their jobs or anything. It's not serious stuff. It's sports, and sports is a diversion. It's not life. So it'll be a fun weekend up in North Carolina.
Yeah, it'll be good to take a little refresh, because I think next week will kind of be that in general for all of us in the Atlanta United world, because the week after MLS Cup, you've got a trade window that opens up on the Monday after MLS Cup that goes for about a day and a half. You've got expansion draft lists that are going to come out. You'll start to get decisions announced about options being picked up, because those have to be done by the 21st. You'll have a lot of things in a short period of time. Then there'll be another little breathing moment in December. We'll have a CONCACAF Champions League draw to look at and talk about, and then probably very early in January training camp starts. It's not that far away.
No, it's not. And you're also going to have the lingering drama of the CBA. And, that honestly, that's what I worry about the most, is that, look, we're going to have another 70,000 attendance final next Sunday at Seattle. They're going to open up the whole stadium. The league is in a great, great spot right now. I just really hope both the players and the owners value what a great spot the league is in. Honestly, I would love to see the current agreement extended until the TV deal is over, and then come back when you see what kind of TV money you're going to get in 2021 and figure it out then. Because you'll have a better, clearer picture of league revenue. All the expansion teams will be in. All their expansion fees will be paid. Then I think you're having a totally different discussion. But I understand from the player standpoint, probably the owner standpoint too, look, maybe extending the CBA is not a viable option. But that's where I'm going to lose sleep this next 3 months. It's not going to be player movement or expansion draft or any of that stuff. It's going to be CBA. And I just hope that cooler heads prevail and they can figure out a way to keep the positive momentum of this league going.
Lots of talking points in the off season for all of us, and we'll be talking about all of them along the way. Enjoy the break, enjoy the rest, because the Hawks are going to grab a lot of your attention here for a while, and that's
no doubt.
That's a fun gig right now too.
What's that?
That's a fun gig right now too.
Well, it was a little less fun after last night, but they're great to be around, and I think there's a lot of positivity around them too. But hey, stoppage time continues. Soccer down here continues. I'm not completely unplugging from soccer for the next 3 months. I'll still be here.
Well, plenty of stuff to be talking about along the way.
No doubt.
Enjoy the weekend. Talk to you soon.
Okay, guys. Take care.
Be good.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Looking for future leaders we can trust and believe in? Look no further than the high school student athletes right here in Georgia. High school sports teach young people how to be effective leaders. It begins by making their grades and being on time for practice. It includes learning to listen, following directions, accepting responsibility, being a good role model. And it's about respect. For officials, opponents, the rules, and each other. The result? It transcends sports. It gives us hope for the future. High school sports. There's so much more than just a game. This message presented by the Georgia High School Association and the Georgia Athletic Directors Association.
Today's show is presented by Appolinsky & Associates, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience, supporters of Atlanta United, Faction, and Inter-Atlanta Youth Football Club. If you've been hurt in a wreck, contact Steve today at steve@aa-legal.com or call in 24/7 at 404-377-9191. The initial consultation is free.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down here. November 1st. Lots of odds and ends we need to get into real quick before we go back to the Twitter timeline. Rumors out of Argentina this morning that Javier Mascherano could be a signing for Inter Miami. 35 years old. Has been playing in China. You will most likely remember him from his time with the Argentine national team, at Barcelona, at Liverpool. 35 years old. I would assume he would be playing as a center back at this point. If you kind of followed his trajectory a bit, he was a great holding midfielder who it felt like became a trusted option as a center back at Barcelona in that style because you needed players who could play on the ball. You weren't looking for the 6'4" bruising center back in those moments. You're looking for somebody who can play. And Mascherano, very talented player, but could also defend. Still 35 years old. That's what jumps out at me as what does he have left, and can he handle the pace in MLS? We'll see, and we'll see if there's anything to it. We'll find out about that. So that's the rumor from Cesar Luis Merlo out of Argentina, very trusted source, about Mascherano to Inter Miami. A couple other things around the league. Other rumors. Let's start there. One, and I think it's probably more than anything down to the nature of Boca Juniors being a bit of a mess at the moment in Argentina. But you have two players from Boca who could be leaving in the upcoming transfer window. One is Mauro Zarate, who scored last night for Boca against Lanús. Very good player. I like Zarate a lot. Rumors of him leaving and going to either China or to the LA Galaxy to reunite with Guillermo Barros Escaloto. It's not a huge name. I think he's a good player that would really do well with that team. And if Zlatan leaves, I think Zarate could be that guy up top that makes this team better. It's not a typical Galaxy kind of big signing, and maybe that's what they actually need. So keep an eye on that one. It's pretty apparent that Carlos Tevez will leave Boca Juniors in the upcoming window, and MLS has been mentioned as a possible destination for Tevez. Also, Vélez Sarsfield is another potential place for him. Tevez, seeing him in the Copa Libertadores, seeing him in league play with Boca, I don't know how much is left in the tank.
Right.
He's still a very intelligent player. He's still a player who can get goals for you, but I think he's also a player that has generally thrived on his work, and I don't know how much he is able to do those things now. If he can change up his game a little bit, become a little bit more of a wily center forward who is going to finish things in the box and make lots of small, short movements as opposed to running his tail off. Okay, maybe. But he's going to have to change his game up a little bit. I'll be curious about Tevez because he's one I could see doing well. I could also see being a huge flop. And a lot of it's going to be down to how he changes his game as he gets older.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for me is with Tevez, for me, it's age and what's left. And if you have someone like that who can help you out, and I know that there's probably going to be, if he's headed this way, what the discussion is going to be about what the front office would want for him to do and what Tevez wants to do. And I think that that's where you're going to have your your main discussions. If Tevez wants to come here, hey, we want you to do this. Tevez naturally is used to doing things in a certain way. Does what his thought pattern link to what the front office wants for wherever the interest is for me? That's what I'm looking at for Tevez. I think, yes, it would be it'd be cool to see him, but will you accept a role?
It would have been cooler to see him a few years ago. Is the thing for me with Tevez. I don't think he's got enough left in the tank to be what you would be signing him as, and that's going to be the challenge. So keep an eye on those. There will be more that pop up out of Argentina, especially. We've talked about it so many times. The market there really suits MLS. You can get good deals there. You have players who are very interested in coming because of previous success of players from that league coming to MLS and then eventually moving on, but also players who are a little bit older coming to this league and thriving, like a Diego Valeri, like a Sebastian Blanco and Nacho Piatti, players of that ilk as well. So I think that will be a big source of incoming MLS players going into the next window. I think that's a definite. Other things to look at around the league, there are rumors out of ESPN in Mexico that Oscar Pareja could be leaving Xolos and leaving for an MLS job. There's a couple reasons why. Tijuana has been pretty good under Pareja. They've made the postseason in each of his 2 seasons there, but they haven't really gotten out of the 6, 7, 8 range in getting into the postseason. I don't know if they can. I mean, Tijuana is a club that money is a huge issue with this club. That's why you were able to get Greg Garza here in Atlanta, because they just couldn't afford to keep guys. That you're going to hit a wall at some point if you're at Pareja with what you have to work with. So the rumor on the other side of that is that Pareja could end up being a target of Orlando City, which would be a very smart move for Orlando City. I think Pareja is somebody who gets how to build a club, and they need to build a club because they haven't in 5 years. Pareja would be reunited with Luis Musi, who came over from FC Dallas to join the Orlando front office. 2 people who have a strong working relationship. So that would be a great hire for Orlando, and that would make Orlando a club that you have to look at a little bit differently, because you're going to have a plan. You're going to have a build. You're not just going to be picking up random pieces and seeing if they fit together. In Tijuana, there's some rumors out of ESPN Mexico that Sebastian Becasese, who had a great year last year with Defensa y Justicia, went on to Independiente in Argentina and has struggled and ended up leaving the job. He could end up in Mexico. And he's a young manager that you might want to remember that name a little bit, because he's a guy who didn't really have a career as a player. He was part of Jorge Sampaoli's staff and part of his coaching tree, and then had a great year at Defensa. And that was a big jump for him to go from Defensa to Independiente. And if he starts to head this way, he could be a Matias Almeida type that eventually comes to MLS, especially if he has success in Mexico. So remember the name Becasese.
As you were building that story, Almeida was the name that popped into my head as you were building that. So just kind of keep some notes, because to see how he may develop if he makes his next step into Liga MX. But to your point about Pareja, I think that would be a smart hire for Orlando City. And I had forgotten about the relationship with Luis Musi from Dallas, but there is a dot there that could be connected as a part of a possible idea. And if Pareja ends up in Central Florida, that's another team that you'd have to keep an eye on, because Pareja and Musi would have a plan, and you sit there and it's like, all right, there's a plan, and what is that going to be going forward?
DC could be a club to keep an eye on for more potential changes. We know Wayne Rooney's gone. We know Luciano Acosta's gone. Ben Olsen said this to Stephen Goff of the Washington Post about his job. He said, if it's time, then it's time. I have done my time here. I think I continue to do a good job for this club. If the people in charge think it's time, they see me, they know what I'm doing, I'm an open book, they know how I coach. If they think the team needs to go in a different direction, they'll make that decision. That's an interesting set of remarks from Ben Olsen. I don't know if it's time or not. I think Ben Olsen has done a very good job in DC for the most part, working with substandard rosters.
Yes.
I don't think this roster was good enough either to be anything more than they were. I mean, Wayne Rooney talked about that with Pablo Maurer at The Athletic, that he was pushing for more investment in the roster going into the 2019 season. He didn't feel like they had enough. I think they finished about where they should have finished. So I don't know if you can say that Rooney should go at this point. But they have to make some key decisions right now about what they're going to be going forward, because you're talking about a club that was just hanging around until they got their stadium done. And this is well after the glory days of trophies and trophies and trophies and trophies. They were hanging around to get the stadium deal done. They weren't investing. Olsen was absolutely pulling mismatched parts together and making something out of it. You won an Open Cup in 2013 with one of the worst teams in MLS history. You then use the waiver draft and reentry draft to pick up a bunch of players off the scrap heap and turn them into a really good squad. But they were old, and you didn't have much staying power with that group. That went away fast. He's had to be defensive at times. He's had to open the game up at times. I think Olsen's done a good job. Can he be better with a strong, big personality kind of team if they do invest? I don't know. I don't know. I think he did a good job last year with them to get them where they were. I think this year he did what the team was. So I think he should continue, because I don't think they're going to upgrade from him. And that's always
right.
what I come back to in these moments is, okay, fine, you can make a change because you want to make a change and you feel like a change would get you somewhere better. But is it going to, really? I don't know. I don't know if there's somebody out there that they can get that would dramatically change who DC United is. I think they need to do that from the roster first.
Yeah, I mean, you read that quote, and it does seem and or sound like that Olsen's like, yeah, okay, you're going to do what you're going to do, whatever. And if I'm here, I think I should still deserve to be here. If I'm not, then, so be it. So I've it's like, who would you bring in? That to me is the larger question. With what we've seen Olsen do with DC, it's like, all right, who's your short list? And what's your realistic short list if you're Jason Levian and the ownership group? So, all right, you better have a plan if the thought pattern is that you're done with Ben Olsen. And I want to see what your thought pattern is if this is the end of the line.
New England Revolution announced this morning they've signed defender Alexander Butner, a 30-year-old Dutchman who has played in the Netherlands, in England, in Russia, in Belgium in the top flight. You're talking about Vitesse, which is where he was last. You're talking about Anderlecht. You're talking about Dynamo Moscow. You're talking about Manchester United. He had trained with them late after the transfer window closed because he was out of contract, and they were preparing to bring him in. They've announced the signing now. He'll join the team for next year. That's a nice get for the Revs. That again, it goes back to Bruce Arena taking over that team, and I think demanding a level of investment from the club that maybe hasn't been the case in the past. This is a TAM signing. We don't know if it's a discretionary TAM signing or not, but you're using TAM to go get Butner, and that's a player with a nice pedigree. Yeah.
And when you were going over the history, I was looking at on social media this after the fancy graphic was released by the Revs, and folks are once again either in one of two camps. They're like, okay, cool, we've got somebody in, or they're trying to figure out more information on him to see where he fits in the whole Revs thought pattern. But no, I like this as a signing, and it shows that the purse strings are being released somewhat when it comes to what Bruce Arena wants to do. And obviously, I don't think he would have taken the job in the first place if he wasn't going to be getting those kinds of guarantees.
Yeah, I think it's a really good get. Columbus re-signed Harrison Offal, 33-year-old right back. Not sure the terms of the deal, but that's a good bring back for them. Offal, I think, still has more to give to the Crew, a really important figure with that club. There's rumors out of Chicago that you're going to get a new logo and a new color scheme, and red might not be the primary color of the Chicago Fire going forward. It might be blue. Kind of changed the whole men in red thing.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's based off of the City of Chicago flag, I understand where you're going from, because, Chicago Fire, you're thinking with the Maltese cross and stuff that you're going to go red, and then if you're going to switch it, then the Chicago, like that baby blue with the red as a secondary, that would
red. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, if that's the idea, if you're chasing after the City of Chicago flag, then I'm down with that, and I want to see what it looks like.
Some other non-MLS stuff. Charleston Battery have been sold. Rob Salvatore of the investment group HCFC has bought the club. USL excited about it. Of course, HCFC and Rob Salvatore excited about it. They will be playing the 2020 season at Ralph Lundy Field at Patriots Point at the College of Charleston. Salvatore mentioned how the partnership and the support from the College of Charleston has really gone a long way to keeping the Battery around in 2020. They're going to have to do some things at that stadium, because I think it only has seating for 1,000 people right now. And second division, you got to have 5,000. They're talking about it being like a modular stadium that, is not permanent but feels permanent. And they're working on extending a deal to play there through 2023, and that's probably a big part of it, is upgrades and things like that. So Charleston will be back in the USL Championship under new ownership, and they'll be doing a lot of things over the offseason to, I think, just trying to read between the lines from some of the things Salvatore said, I think reconnect with the city of Charleston. Patriots Point's a little bit closer to the downtown area. They'll be a little more connected than they were at their previous home out in Daniel Island. It was a great stadium, but it did feel very disconnected from everything.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, because it's such a great venue, but I think they actually can find more success in the new spot. So I'm excited about the rebirth of the Charleston Battery and what it can be going forward. The USU 17s, they played on Wednesday night. We haven't talked about it yet with everything else going on. Scoreless draw with Japan. George Bello started. They've got to win Game 3 against the Netherlands on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. And that will be on one of the Fox channels, I believe. I think it's going to be on FS2.
And obviously we'll keep an eye on that. Going back to the Battery story quickly, we've got one more Charleston Battery show that we're going to have this season, since their season came to an end. Obviously looking to have Poppy Miller and Mike Kelleher on, but we are also chasing a 1v1 with the new owners, and hopefully we'll have some news on that as well coming up real soon.
Looking forward to that. We'll get a good glimpse as to what's going on in Charleston as the plan for the future. One other bit of news on the Atlanta United front. Ezequiel Barco called into Argentina's U23s for an upcoming camp and matches. There could be a match against the U.S., and I don't think U.S. Soccer has said anything about this, which, I mean, I guess is not really a surprise. There's, I guess, a U23, I don't know, cavalcade. It's not exactly a tournament. They're going to play either Brazil or the U.S. in the second date of their camp. So Ezequiel Barco could be going up against, well, I don't think Miles Robinson will be there, because I don't think he'll be healthy yet, and I don't know if they would release him if he isn't 100% healthy.
Exactly.
So Brad Gazan is with
cavalcade.
the U.S. Yeah, hashtag cavalcade. Brad Gazan is with the U.S. at a pre-Nations Cup camp that they're doing, basically to keep guys fresh. I mean, it's a chance for guys who are out of season in MLS to stay together and train. I think some people read a lot into it that really wasn't there. So it's just a camp to keep training. Brad Gazan will be part of it. I think he'll probably be part of that Nations Cup roster with games in the November window. And the big one with U.S. and Canada, where the U.S. has to win in Orlando to keep their hopes of getting to the Nations Cup semifinals alive. See how that goes. The women will have games in November as well, and Vlatko Andonovski named his first roster, and it had 7 players on it who were not part of the World Cup roster. You've got injuries. Alex Morgan, unavailable due to pregnancy, but Kelly O'Hara, Ali Krieger, Crystal Dunn, Tierna Davidson, Megan Rapinoe, all unavailable due to injury. So you have some different kinds of players who have been brought in. We had a question about it, some people's reactions to it. I think Vlatko Andonovski's going to make some changes. I really think he's going to make some changes, and you're going to see some different looks to this group because of players that he's worked with or players that he's liked out of the NWSL that maybe didn't get an opportunity before. The new faces for the U.S. women, Alana Cook hasn't played in the NWSL. She skipped the draft. She went to PSG instead. She's also eligible to play for England, but she has not played in a match with them. She's been in a camp with them. These friendlies wouldn't cap tie her, but she is a player who has been impressive in Europe, could be a top-level center back, still young, still some things to work on. She's 22. Cook, it could be one of the first big dual national situations on the U.S. women's side to keep an eye on. Casey Short, who has been part of the women's national team pool before but did not make the World Cup roster, maybe one of the last World Cup cuts this summer. She'll be 33 the next time the World Cup rolls around, but she could be part of the group in the short term and try to convince that she should be part of it in the long term. Imani Dorsey is part of the group, has had a good season with Sky Blue, another player who I think the NWSL and her success there puts her into this conversation. Margaret Purse is another one who you're looking for goals up top. And Purse has been a player who has scored goals in the past and a player who might fit into what Andonovski wants to do. But SB Nation had a really good point. Kim McCauley talked about this. Players like Purse, players like Dorsey, even players like Alana Cook and Short, who are more, who have different types of experience, you might not have a huge window here to make your case, because it's short-term injuries to key figures with the team. You've got to come into this camp and these matches and be very impressive, because you have young talent coming up behind you, but you have a door open right now to push your way in because of injury, and you've got to make a lasting impression. Andy Sullivan is one who has been with the national team before. Lynn Williams is back, which I'm excited to see. Williams just never really fit with Jill Ellis, and also a crowded forward line. Well, now there's an opening right now, and we'll see what Andonovski thinks of Williams and how she fits. And goalkeeper Aubrey Bledsoe is also part of the camp. So keep an eye on the U.S. women under Andonovski. The first time we'll get to see kind of what he's thinking with the women's national team. The men's roster that came out, I don't think we need to get deep into it, because this doesn't include the European players. It's not the final roster for these Nations League games. I want to wait and see that until we really learn anything. I want to see what the U23 roster is as well, so we kind of know where things are truly going here with this next window. Were there players who were left out? Possibly, yeah. I mean, everybody has different opinions. There wasn't anybody glaring to me that I was like, oh no. But I want to see what the final rosters look like first before we get deep into it on the men's side.
Yeah, I'm down with that too. It's like, yeah, this is the first round, and for those that are regular followers of the show's Twitter feed, the host of soccer over there, Nick Alifi, was not pleased.
He's not pleased about anything, though. I mean, when it comes to the U.S. soccer, he's not pleased with anything. Is he Statler or is he Waldorf?
Walking beige.
Which one is he? Is he Waldorf or Statler?
Well, who's the one? Well, Statler's the one that starts the joke, and Waldorf is the one who finishes with the punchline and then starts the laughter. So, which perspective is Nick. Is Nick the one who gives the joke or the one that responds to the joke with the punchline?
I'm going to go Statler for Nick and Waldorf for Jarrett. Because they've kind of turned into that, like they're not on the show with us in the morning, but they're chiming in and they're sitting up in the balcony, especially when it comes to things being negative.
after the joke,
they're the Statler and Waldorf of this crew.
Okay, we do have some questions before we go.
Okay, let's get into them.
Sean Vergara, we've talked about a lot of things that Sean had on his mind this morning. He says he's coming out of mourning, MOURNING. We talked about Nagbe and Bradley and that foul. He wanted the pro explanation. He just wanted any thoughts on the Gressel contract comments.
Without knowing more, it's a little hard to say. He's got an option for next year, according to Doug. The club's not going to not pick up the option. The option's going to be on his initial deal. You know what his contract number is right now. The option's not going to be like $5 million. The option is going to be based off of a deal that was signed when he was coming out of college. It's not going to be crazy. The club is going to pick that up. That part, I think, is very safe to assume. But he wants a long-term deal, obviously. They have to find a deal that makes sense on both sides. And that's the tricky element of it. And especially right now where you've had a season with a lot of different things going on. You have a CBA that will change the way I think rosters are constructed. I think you'd like to wait until the CBA is finalized. Without knowing what the conversations have been, it's impossible to really say much. You look at the roster right now, and we'll probably get into this next week when we go through and just talk about how the year went for different players. But you've got a lot of guys that have decisions one way or another across all aspects of the roster. From what we know at this point, Ezequiel Barco is reported to be under contract through 2022, and that would kind of match up with the reporting around his signing here. Transfermarkt has him through the end of 2022. Franco Escobar is reported to be under contract through 2020. Joseph, new contract through 2023. Miles Robinson, new contract through 2023. Eric Remedi, under contract through 2021. Those are the ones that we know for sure. Pity Martinez, I think, is safe to assume that he is under contract going forward. He's under contract one way or another, whether it's option or not, but there's no reported length of his deal. So he's good. Justin Merrim is one that we don't know. Transfermarkt has nothing there. Don't know what his contract situation is long-term. Reportedly, under the option side of things, Doug said, I believe in September, that there was an option for Tito Villalba in 2020, an option for Florentine Pogba in 2020, an option for Gressel in 2020, an option for Leandro Gonzalez Perez in 2020. I think there is an option for the homegrowns. Like all of the homegrowns are probably on option time. Maybe the homegrowns who signed in the second wave, Bello, Kunga, Okonkwo, maybe they're not all on option years. I kind of think they are. I would assume that Carlton and Goslin are on option years. So you've got some guys under contract already. You've got a lot of guys that you're going to make decisions on when it comes to options. And then you've got some guys who are out of contract. And this is all according to reports. That's what's hard about it, is there's not really a definition here. You do have the Emerson Heineman situation, too, where you have to make a decision on the loan and extending it or buying him outright. Reportedly, his contract at Bournemouth is up in June. So you could play hardball and not want to buy him but sign him to a pre-contract, and then you might not have him for 6 months and he might be in limbo, and that's not what anybody would want. So that could get weird. But there is an option on the loan to make it permanent when it comes to Heineman. It seems like the decisions that are not option related are on Mikey Ambrose. Don't know about an option for him. Alec Can. Don't know about an option for him. He's 1 year short of qualifying for free agency. He would be part of the re-entry process outside of free agency. Kevin Kratz was reportedly out of contract. Jeff Larinowitz is out of contract, and he is eligible for free agency. He has said he wants to be back. Brendan Moore, it seems like it was a 1 year deal, third goalkeeper. Not sure if that's the case or if there was an option there. Dion Pereira, Transfermarkt really didn't have a lot of information. It looked like they had it listed as a 1 year deal. I'd be shocked if there wasn't an option on that. I think there's got to be an option when it comes to Pereira. And he was not a loan. I think some people have thought he was on loan. He's not. He was a free transfer. And Brandon Vasquez is the other one. Not sure what his situation is. I don't think he'd be completely out of contract. I think there would probably be an option there. So we'll get deeper into that and decisions and all that next week, but that's what we know right now. I mean, there's a lot of decisions to be made in the short term. The 21st is when the options have to be picked up or not. League office has to be notified of all of that. I think you're going to get announcements on some before that. And then the expansion draft is before that. So that's where it gets tricky. And that's where you gets a little cagey about picking options up. Not on a Gressel or an LGP, but more on a Mikey Ambrose, who, if you're going to pick up his option, you'd love to be in a situation where you're not going to protect him, but you would love to have the question mark in Miami and Nashville's minds of, well, there's an option, and do we want to pick up that option, or do we want to do a new deal with him, yada, yada, yada. Maybe they don't pick him because they don't like the option term. And one thing to keep in mind is Paul McDonough probably knows what all of those option terms are from his time in Atlanta. So he's going to know the inside scoop on some of that, which makes this a little more complicated, at least on guys who were signed when he was here. So it's going to be a process, and we'll start talking about it in as much detail as we can and what we know, and try not to mislead anybody as we break all this down, as things get hectic in a very different way starting next week.
Yeah, let's see. So that takes care of Five Stripe Bailey, Chris Hutchison, and a couple of other, because there were roster questions, and that kind of laid things out, and that'll get everybody prepped for next week. Let's see. Elliot Bevan says that Atlanta should try to go get Luciano Acosta.
DC has his rights. He's out of contract. You'd have to get his rights because DC made a bona fide offer, so they've kept his rights. You'd have to get them from DC and do a deal with Lucho. I'm not against it, but I don't know where he plays in this team. Not with who you have coming back up top and in the attacking midfield. I don't know where he necessarily fits. He's a wonderful player. I like Luciano Acosta a lot. I think he's one of the best dribblers in the league. And we've seen how dribbling has been a big, important part of Atlanta breaking teams down. So he would fit. I just don't know where in this roster.
Tafka is going to do the men's national team job for them and still not get a few $1 million payment.
Oh, boy.
His kit would be, the primary would be substantially solid white with navy blue trim, subtle sublimation allowed on occasion, and then the secondary kit is everything else.
Okay. I'm all right with that. That's cool.
And let's see. I think everybody else is taken care of except for Jarrett, who has come in this morning. So let's see. So is Jarrett Statler or Waldorf? Would he be Waldorf?
Jarrett would be Waldorf.
Okay. So he has said, he's saying play hardball, play Remedi as the 8 in front of Jeff or the new 6, all the while Jeff is teaching the dark arts to Lawrence Wyke. And then he's got something, let's see, money to DC for Lucho's rights, and a 4-2-3-1 with him on the right, with play in the left and Barco in the middle.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think he fits. I think he's a great player who you'd love to have, but the players you currently have, I don't think you need to go get Luciano Acosta. I think you can go get other things. I see Tofka asking, and I'll try to get clarification on it when we get into it next week. I think actually technically Lucho Acosta is not out of contract at the moment. I think the contract runs through the end of the calendar year, so you can't talk to him about a new contract. Well, no, you could. You could talk to him about a pre-contract. I'm sorry. You could. But in MLS, it's different, and I don't know. I know a team from outside could talk to him and sign him to a pre-contract, and he could go when the window opens. In MLS, I don't know tampering rules. I don't know if that's allowed or not. Other clubs outside the league absolutely could, and that's where it gets weird. So I'm not sure. That's an interesting one. I think once his MLS deal is up, they could talk to him, but they'd still have to get his rights. I think right now they couldn't officially talk to him, I think. That's an interesting loophole. I gotta try to find that out. I'm not sure. With him being like at the end of his deal, I know the pre-contract situation opens up a door that like you wouldn't have in other sports. You know, you couldn't talk to a player that is in the last year of their contract on another team about a new contract before their contract's up in the NBA or NFL. Like that would be tampering. But in the world of soccer, with the pre-contract situation that you can sign with a player who's about to be out of contract, it opens up an interesting loophole for MLS because of player rights and all of that. So I'm intrigued. That's a curious one. Okay.
And we are officially caught up. It'll be a busy weekend on the network. Have a bunch of interviews planned with, obviously, our last Charleston Battery. We talked about that. Jay Heaps is scheduled, as well as Defender of the Year in USL League One Connor Antley, Keeper of the Year in League One Dallas J. And we catch up with Austin Deleuze and the folks in North Alabama, the North Alabama Soccer Club, as they come into the NPSL. So it'll be a busy weekend.
All right, I have 3 favorite classic kits to drop into the mix for you to go check out. The mid-90s Club America, yellow with blue and red and black, kind of like the German. It's the Adidas template from Germany in '94, but it looked so much better for Club America in that era. So that one for me. Most of Puma's jerseys from over the years with the giant cat head on the front, I love that. That's such a unique look. So most of those look great. Navy, dark navy with a dark gold, like cat head. That's pretty cool. And the Croatia 1998 World Cup kits, the white checkerboard, white and red checkerboard. Very cool, very unique. Fits the flag. Like it's unique, but it fits and makes sense. It's not just unique to pull something crazy.
Give you another one real quick. Leonis Negros for me has always been especially
they got some wild like stripes, but wild color combinations that aren't like crazy colors you don't see. Just you don't see them all mixed together in that way generally. And it works.
And for me, I'm hot and cold when it comes to the sublimated lion on the black kit.
It's a puma. It's a cat. Pumas.
Okay, so Pumas. It's
not the Leones.
But yeah, the black kits for me with Leonis Negros. That's definitely one that's always been on the list.
All right, keep sending us your favorite jerseys on National Jersey Day. Thanks, NFLPA, and check out all of the content coming out this weekend. Crumpets and Espresso will be dropping later this afternoon, early evening as well, with all of your European preview. Check that out. And European and worldwide, I think I'm going to drop a a bit of espresso on the Argentine League and where things stand, because it's gotten kind of weird. And they had a double match week this week, so some storylines for games this weekend to keep an eye on and all of that. So lots of stuff. If you're looking for a game to come watch, Oglethorpe men tomorrow afternoon in Brookhaven, facing Hendricks in the quarterfinals of the SAA. It's a 1 o'clock game. Oglethorpe trying to win the conference tournament for the first time in a couple years, get back to the NCAAs. They've won the regular season 5 years in a row. The journey starts tomorrow. If you can't come out and you want to watch, it'll be on the gopetrels.com website. It's on the Stretch internet service. I'll be posting that link tomorrow morning if you want to check that out. Outside of that, rest up. Take a break. Do what Mike Conti's doing. Get away if you can and recharge. And next week we'll talk a lot of MLS Cup preview, but we'll also talk a lot of MLS offseason preview, because it's going to be a busy one. Not just in Atlanta, but across the league. It's going to be a very busy one with lots of twists and turns, and we'll get into all of it as we go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the SDH fam. We'll talk to you on Monday. Mucho platiel.
Mucho platiel.